Thanks for staying with us. Our next guest joined us, an award-winning lawyer, president of Digital Music Commerce and Exchange Limited. In June 2022, she was accepted into the Grammys Recording Academy alongside other notable African entertainers and entertainment executives. She's also known as the leader in African entertainment, you know, because she's consultant for many entertainment companies and artists like Chocolate City, Premier Records, Boomplay Music, K1 The Ultimate, Teni, Dekunle Gold.
Rocher.
You look small but mighty.
I'm telling you.
Welcome with us. Foza, Fawehinmi. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So one of the reasons why we like to celebrate women who are doing great things, because we also like to inspire people out there that, listen, any career you're in, you can find role models. And African entertainment is one area that many lawyers don't really look into, because many entertainers go into these agreements without knowing, dotting the I's and crossing the T's so that they can benefit themselves. Tell us a bit about your career. How did you get into African entertainment? What led to it? And how is the business going?
First of all, I'm happy to be here. I love you. I love your show.
Oh, thank you.
So I started out in 2010 or 8, thereabout, in 300 level. And it was just literally, I was walking on the corridors of Babcock University, and I saw some guys making some beats, and I went there. I tried to rap. It took me like 1 week to write one verse, and I knew that was not my career.
At all.
So, but I got the song, went to Lagos then from school, spoke to Tosin Bucknor, rest her soul, and she played it on radio. By the time I got back to school, I was a superstar. They were like, oh, you got our songs on radio? And they were like, oh, manage us. And I was like, I don't know anything about that. And I continued. Then we started working. Then I just knew when I went to study law, I was angry. I was just angry. I wanted to study law, to deal with people. I didn't have a clear purpose, but I loved music. And I found out about the course called Intellectual Property Law. And I started researching, and I found this woman, just one woman that was an entertainment lawyer for Africans, and that was Miss Uduak. And that she became my mentor, and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do going forward. And people, immediately I came out of school, it was just straight up entertainment law. People thought I was crazy, I was mad, because we were like, oh, you're very smart, you have good grades, you should work in one of these big law firms. And I was like, nah. I tried it, but I was very miserable. And I was just like, I can't be working out and be miserable. I'll be happy, you know. So it was straight up into entertainment law, and I've been doing this for almost, you know, a decade, but as a lawyer, 8 years. So it's been an interesting journey.
It's just you're just an epitome of, it's not about the package. It's not about the size, you know. And I know that looking at you, a lot of young people who do not seem to have a form of direction will be so inspired that, wow, she even started when she was in the university. Tell me some of the challenges you faced along this path. Having this, you know, little package, and then going to speak to big people, and they're looking at you like, who's this person?
Yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday. We were talking about, like, I was saying I wanted to go back on low court, and he was like, oh, now you're going to look like you're in SS2.
Don't dare.
And when you go, when I go and ask for, like, oh, yeah, I'm trying to raise $2 million, they're like,
who are you again?
yeah, like, who?
You have $2 million.
Yeah, like, who sent you, you know?
So guess I can't.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's like, I love the way I look, because it's very unassuming, you know, but I also just enjoy my small stature. Like, one of the sad things for me is I always have to sew my clothes. You know, I can't buy off the shelf, but I really love it. And I just feel like when I get into the room, because of that problem I had a problem, not even the problem of sexism for me, it was more of like ageism for me, like you're very young, you know. So for me, it was just anytime I enter a room, I make sure that when I open my mouth, you can't forget me.
You have values.
So that was my strategy, you know. So every time if I go for a conference, I raise up my hand, I try to ask the most intelligent question in the room, you know, that everybody looks back and like,
Who's this?
Who's that? You know, so yeah, that was kind of like my strategy.
So you see, the thing about entertainment, everybody would think is so laid back, they don't really send, and here you are saying that you're very deliberate about how you speak and represent yourself and your clients. But what exactly does it mean to be an entertainment lawyer? Someone's watching and like, what is that even? And do they make money?
Oh yeah, now we're making money. When I first started, it was such a green space. We only had very few people that we could look up to. And one of the notable persons was Efere Ozako, rest his soul. But he was in film. But he was in film. And so when I came into the music, I love music. I do film too. But music has more of my heart, and I've done a lot of solutions. So for me, it was coming into the industry and knowing that there was, in the pie, there was really no money to pay lawyers. So I had to create revenue streams for my clients. So that's kind of like the difference between myself and other lawyers, is that we do a lot of legal and business developments for these people to create extra revenue streams for them. Then I get my money, I get paid. So, and it's those structures. So that led me into a different part of creating structural solutions for the industry, which now has led, I'm transitioning from just being a lawyer to being a full, I've always been a music business executive because I've worked as a manager, I've worked as a publisher, I've worked in different streams.
You know, so I've been in this industry long enough to know that we've had issues with intellectual property. We've had issues, and I've seen the fact that many artists are frustrated because their music just gets played anyhow. So somebody had an event, a public event, they couldn't tell the artist, they couldn't pay royalties to the artist, and they used the music for a public event. So, for example, I think one of the primaries of one of these things, I think Timmy Dakulu was saying that you used my music. You didn't even ask me for it. Abroad, you don't dare that because you pay for it. But how do we get to that structure where every time you use an artist's song, you pay some kind of royalties to that person? Are we there yet?
So currently now we have the structure of COSON going. So for every TV, radio, everywhere you play, COSON collects that money. But we've had a long-standing situation of back and forth legal battles with our CMOs, as collective management organization. But it's better than what we had 7 years ago. COSON is working, but not effective as much as we want it, especially in this global stage as we are. But we have people actively working to ensure that it works. So it's, I think, for every time I speak, I think like it's education, because a lot of the audience feel like what we do is they're entitled to it. So it's like it's property. I spend money to create property. For me to put out one album can cost as much as 150 million, naira. And the guy on the other end just feels like, oh, I should download. Am I not using my data to listen to your music?
I can copy this.
Yeah, I can copy this. I can use that. So it's fundamentally the education for me. Because if you understand that I put up a building in Agege, that building costs money. You can't just enter there and live there, So that's the training and the education that has to start from primary school. Because in schools too, you photocopy books, and feel like it's cool and it's chill. Those are IPs, and that's kind of like what we've done with our law firm, moving now into DMC, which is the music. So basically, we're managing intellectual property. So even for people that have died, we manage that property, and with the government, and we tell them that this thing makes money, and we need to manage it properly. So we're getting there slowly, but which is why I tweeted something some days back and saying that we're at a very important point in our lives, because right now we have 1.4 billion people in Africa, and 70% is less than 35, which means that intellectual property, creativity is going to be like exploding. So it's like if we are voting in people that don't understand the weight of IP, because it's not just farming, it's not just, for you to solve farming problem, it's IP. Because you have to think about the tech. For you to, do payment solution, it's creativity, it's tech. So it's like if we don't have people that pay attention to IP, we're going to be in serious trouble.
I was talking with a lawyer sometimes, because I'm a lawyer as well, about intellectual property and the practice of it here, and he says no, it's different here. How different exactly is it from what what obtains outside the country?
It's not actually different, because I deal with a lot of, the only thing that are different are laws. So it's like, that's the only, different conversation.
So should we be making more laws, to empower?
Yes. So now, I mean, the Copyright Act, I know the Trademark Act, we're actively trying to revamp the trademark registry. The Copyright Bill, I was reading yesterday that the Senate, it has finally passed the third reading. So hopefully before, the president goes, there's an assent on that, because we've not changed that law in 24 years. I will move from traditional to digital.
Change many things in many
so that's an exciting thing for us. But we're pushing, we're working. It's way better than when I started, And now we can show, like, I was starting to show that the music industry, when you get it right, is minting money. We're still the only industry making money in dollars right now consistently.
Whoa. I'll come back to you. There's an issue with patent laws that I think that we're not even there yet when it comes to something you create. So many of us create, she makes clothes. She creates a design which she can't own. Somebody else replicates that design. Go on social media, somebody's design, go and take it, give it to your tailor to make. These are intellectual property. Somebody's put together a recipe. You trying to make a nice cookie. You put some nice cute things in there, you know, and you do it. It sells. Somebody takes it, and so we're not even there yet where I can lay claim to patent. Like, this is my patent. What are you? I mean, this is entertainment, but what can you as a lawyer do? What do you think we can begin to do to help ensure that people start owning patents for things that they creatively did themselves?
So I love when a lot of us, like, we don't like to try because we already see the problems that Nigeria So it's like enforcement. I tell my clients.
So we have the law.
We have the laws, but it's how to work it. Like, for example, publishing was such an alien thing 5-6 years ago, where artists just feel like, as long as I pay you 30K, I own the beats. But the law was very different until some of us, like 4 of us stood up and four lawyers were like, yo, this is wrong. You know, the interpretation of this law is wrong. And the first thing we had to do was to go against, like, all your favorite songs. So imagine someone coming 3 years later and saying, you don't own the beats. You know, so everybody's looking at you like, oh, you're a wicked person, you're a vile person, but that's enforcement. So we did that for a year. Now, producers would never release the songs to you if you don't sign agreement. So it's the culture of enforcement, right?
Education.
And education. So if I've registered a patent on an invention, or I've copyrighted my book or something, and you take it, the question is, am I motivated enough to go and enforce my... So we have a huge problem with enforcement. You know, and one of the things we're pushing is to have a special IP court that makes things faster. But I've personally pushed some things to get enforcement done. It has been distasteful. It has cost me, like, people don't like him. But it's like, we need it to work. So right now, you see a lot of cases in music because now someone knows that at the back, like, in a year, I can make $1 million from one beat. Or from one writing. So why wouldn't I spend that money to go and write?
So please, you can start it. So one of the problems I had when I was singing was the fact that because I was just starting out, and a lot of other musicians and artists out there have a problem of getting to blow first. So you do your music, and then you have to just give it away. You find people in Alaba to give the music to, and everybody just spreads it because you are still looking for that relevance. And so a lot of good work is lost in anybody can have access to it. Let me just make a name. And it has impoverished a lot of artists, especially those ones who focused on this is all I have to do. You see them, you feel for them. They are great, they have good songs, but because they have not been picked yet, so maybe the song hasn't sensationalized yet, they are still struggling. They're putting out the work there, but they're not getting anything in return. How do we begin to, I'm glad that you're in this industry, to help them understand that even, is there any way to even help them understand that they can still make something even though the songs are not that big yet?
Oh, yes. And it's, you see, when you said they think we're chilled, we're relaxed, there's a lot of mathematics and analysis. Right now, it's not easier that, you know, you can have a song and make stable income to an extent without being
very popular.
Very popular. But it's very strategic and very, like, it's a science. You know, it's a science that needs to be studied and you have to put in the work. But a lot of us right now, I mean, most of the clients that I start working with, I try to educate them first. It's like, you can be popular and be broke, but you're not going to be popular and broke with me because you have to pay my own money.
I like that.
So I need you to be popular and making money. You can make money without being popular. You know, and it's just sitting down with the brand to understand which direction the brand go to. And so for me, it's just really education about how to do things differently. The way A does stuff shouldn't be the way B will do stuff. Like, if you're an alternative artist, why are you spending all your money trying to be pop? You know, so those are the conversations and dynamics we always have to have at every point in time, and which also affects the way you find funding. So I have an artist that we just came back from Spain. Nobody knows that, like, you know, on the offline stage, like in terms of performing, she's a superstar. She's known, but like on mainstream radio, she isn't. So we've gone to Europe. We're starting a tour in Europe. You might not know her yet on Top 10, but she's across the country, across Europe, you know, organizing a different concert, and she's going to get paid for it because she understands her market and she's going towards that direction. And for someone like me that helps artists to raise money, it's making a case in that direction as opposed to saying, oh, I want to spend 500 million trying to blow in Nigeria when the Gen Z audience doesn't
understand what you're saying.
Understand what you're saying with that music.
So you're sort of giving me hope now to go back to music.
Yes.
Wow. You have your
because I ran away.
So I need to ask you, this intelligence, was it just these 8 years? Did they born you with it? Was it back up? Because you have put it, the intelligence, and just, you know, like, you know where you're headed. So I heard one time, a long time ago, they said Jay-Z has a company to help basketballers. He noticed that basketballers, in their peak, they will make a lot of money, and after they leave the NBA, money is gone. And so he did something like a company. He signs them off and then helps them so that their money is working for them even after. There are some young people, as Gen Z, let's say, in the trenches that have talent. And one day they may just blow, and then it goes, do you have a plan, or do you have something already on ground to help these our young ones coming out? Can someone that hasn't made it yet but has a talent approach you and then work with that person up until, you know, they make it?
Yes, definitely. One of the biggest problems of any artist is access to finance, right? And that's one of the first solutions that we're trying to tackle at DMC, which led us to open a marketplace called Orin Fund. So the marketplace basically is you go into that marketplace, you see different options of access to finance. So what we do is we go to private investors. You know, one of the problems with investors is that they put their money in, they don't see the money coming out. And our conversation with them is you're putting the money in, but you're not doing the right thing. So you're just throwing money at the wall, you know, just throwing money at things that don't make sense, to buy a car, to buy it. That's not the product you should invest in. So we're talking to the investors and saying, this is what we're going to do for you. If you give us 100 million, in 5 years, you're going to get 150 million. How that's going to happen is not your business. That's where we come in and we're standing as guarantee. But for the artists, we're saying there are different solutions. Like the first solution we launched is, if you're already doing a stable amount of money, say $100 a month on any of the platforms, music platforms that you put your music on for at least 6 months, you can borrow against like 10 times of that. So you can get $10,000 to be able to go and do your music and come back and promote, which increases your stream. Now, what we've also found out we launched it July 1st, and in the first 4 weeks, we found out that many African artists won't be able to qualify for that. So what we're now doing is we're doing specific A&R, that's artist development, and picking these people that are in the too small range and having sessions with them and saying, okay, your music is this, your music is that. We're going to set up this team with you to help you, to build you to the extent where you can make stable money every month. The
business of music.
Now, when we do that, there's another fund we're launching at the end of the year with local investments saying, okay, this is a 100 million fund, and we're going to take out 30 million from that for this artist because we've worked with you for 6 months. We've checked out your character. We've checked out because that's another thing. We invest in you, and they just decide that, run away or act,
you want to be
crazy.
smoking ribbon.
So it's like, so we take from that fund and say, okay, for the next 1 year, we're going to build with you a project to ensure that you start making money so you can pay back that loan. So basically what we're doing is, most of my clients will they want to go to the bank to get money. They can't. They'll tell them, go and bring a house. And these guys, they don't own houses. What they own is the music. Right. So what we've done is that we're now using their music as collateral, you know, with private investors and banks and everything. So yes, we have that solution. It's going to be rolled out in phases between now and the next 1 year. You know,
that's interesting. This is I was going to ask you about the comedy industry, because I know they're also entertainment, but is it very difficult to identify what is IP within the comedy industry? Is it like can you steal jokes? Is it possible? Can you
and then skits too?
Yeah, skits. So how do we put structures in these various segments of the entertainment industry?
So you see, the beauty of entertainment industry is so broad, right? And I'm such a specialization person. So even when I was coming as law, I said it was entertainment law or nothing. So if you bring your land to me, I'll just be looking at it. I'll direct it to someone else. Same thing with the music, with the entertainment industry. I said music and film. Right. And now even in music, I'm saying this specific part, because it's a lot, you know. But for comedy, I've worked, with a couple of comedians, and what we used to do back then was for every season they had, because I don't know if you noticed that a lot of them, like for this year, there's a particular set of jokes they tell. So what we do is we make them write it in a book, and we notify that. So
this is theirs.
Yeah, so we notify it with the Copyright Commission and say this compilation of jokes, belongs to this person.
Wow.
Now, the problem is now that many of them don't like to enforce. So if someone steals the joke,
they leave it to go viral.
Yeah. So the question is like, do you want to spend that much money to chase someone that is broke?
Oh.
Yeah. But however, if that person goes to perform it on television or a video streaming platform,
you gotta pay.
I'll go for the video streaming platform because they have money to pay me.
Yeah.
So you wait. Yeah. So that's like
wait for them to slip. Oh, nice.
So that's the business of it.
You want to go?
Yeah, I wanted to just, I've heard so much about what you do. I wanted to talk about you.
Yes.
Foza, Fawehinmi. So tell us about yourself.
That's interesting because I've had people ask me this question a lot, and it led me to saying, okay, next year I'm going to just put out a book about myself. So it's called So Far So Foza. It's basically just my life. The last 30 years. A lot of people think I come from privilege because of the surname. So I always have to correct people that I'm from. I lost my dad at a very young age, and I was raised by a single woman who worked heavily. I went to the best schools. I've had the best thing in life, not because it was easy, but because one person sacrificed, So for me, I always owed it to myself to be the best at what I my dad's death shook me a lot.
What age did it happen?
At 11, so, and it was typically the interesting story of grace to grace to grass.
Just grass to grace. You were right.
No, from actually.
Okay, when he was alive.
So it was like you were chilling in your house with everything was sorted, 3 housemates, everybody's cool. Next morning you wake up, it's gone because there was no will written, and like it's a polygamous family. Everybody comes in, and you're just like left in the. So I came at life very, fast. And when people ask me and say, oh, you found your purpose early, I'm like, yes.
The world shook you in that direction.
The world shook. And also, I just feel like I'm one of those people that God has, earmarked and said that, this is your purpose and this is where you're.
I love it.
And I tell people that my purpose is to create sustainable wealth for African creatives. So if there's anything outside of that, I can't do it. And also, I can't leave the continent. So every time people are like, oh, it's time to jackpot, I'm like,
nah,
we got to do the work.
You're making dollars here.
So of course, I would say we have your background. We have that in common. I also, my mom is just my life. Yeah. I mean, I'm here because she sacrificed a lot. So when I see and hear someone to who another person has made a sacrifice, I just, connect on that level. But so apart from your mother, you mentioned one mentor. Who were your mentors throughout your journey, and how would you say they impacted you?
So Miss Uduak, she basically was just dedicated to something that was, when it's just one person in the past and just like clearing grass and clearing, she literally is the foundation for many entertainment lawyers out of Nigeria and Africa because she used to write a lot and helped us to understand stuff. Another person was Tosin Bucknor, God rest her soul. Tosin just saw me and was like, I like your passion, I like your fire. And when we go out, she'd be like, have you met this young girl? And nothing. She never collected anything from me. She just saw that light. I was like, I'm just going to open doors for you. And opened it, and I met Osage, Osare, I can't pronounce the name, but Osage. Osage she used to be the manager for Whiskey and currently the current country manager for 1RPM, one of the leading companies in music. Osage literally made me, like, she would call me and be like, you're talking too much on Twitter, you're talking too much on Instagram. And literally gave me my first client that paid me $1 million. Naira, and just because she was like, I see what you're doing, I think you're very dedicated, I want to open the door for you. Nothing, never asked for anything. So women have been very instrumental in my path. Now I have business mentors, like Bella Disu. It's just the humility in the midst of so much affluence and wealth, you know, and the class and the eloquence. And I also have Temilade Adeniji, managing director for Sub-Saharan West Africa. And it's just like,
so mentors are important.
Yeah, very important. And for me, they're all women. You know, all women.
Now, I see you've had...
Are you dating?
I'll ask my mom.
You don't want to tell us.
No, I'm not.
Okay, not dating right now. I was going to, because you seem to have worked with K1, the Ultimate,
yes.
And Whiskey. And I'm thinking to myself, how do you manage these different kinds of clients? You think that, okay, is it the same model, or you have to do certain things for certain kind of clients in the entertainment industry?
No, it's different. Like, when I'm talking to my Egun, it's on the knees. we don't care if it's music or not. Like, there's respect. I deal with a lot of legacy catalogs, so I'm talking to your K1s, I'm
like
talking
to Sonia Day.
Yeah, Sonia Day, the Ebenezer Obeys. So I'm a Yoruba girl. When you're entering the house, they don't care whether it's music you came for. You kneel down and have a conversation. You know, there's the respect there. Also, like for the younger guys, because there's the millennial crowd, which is Whiskey, David, Burner, you know. So it's different. We're pairs, you know. But it's also like you have to be. I can't be as uptight as when I'm in a normal law firm wearing suit and tie. So it's most times on a Monday you see me on jeans. And I'm chilling in the office and we're having an informal conversation, but that's all the conversation we need to have. Now with the Gen Zs, it's literally, I had to employ like a younger, because I'm like, the language is so different.
Someone younger than you?
Yeah, like, it's like, like, you know, they're talking about like, one day one of my clients was like, oh, I'm depressed. I was like, so innocently, I was like, so what's causing your depression? And she literally looked at me and said, do you think if I knew I'd be depressed? I was like, Jesus Christ.
I know them.
I was like,
hey, I can only imagine what
I was like,
have to do.
Okay, I honestly, like, because if I told you I was depressed, in my mind, I was like, I would have to figure it out. But I now learned that the manner at which I said it wasn't emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
So I had to recruit someone that understood the language better. And when I was employing, I told the person, I said, the reason why we had such a hectic time in 2020 was because our government didn't understand how to speak to that demographic. You know, so they were speaking, but they were speaking to not the 70% of the population. That was the problem. So, you know, that was the problem. You know, they were...
So now,
70%.
You know that the way government sees this thing is the way we talk to constituted authority.
Yeah,
these people don't care.
You know, so I have to wrap up. There's someone who could ask me a question here saying that he's also a lawyer trying to get into intellectual property. Like, how much can he earn? Like, what's the potential in this industry? Potential earning power. Is it lucrative? I think it's if you ask me, I think it's the most lucrative.
I think it's the most lucrative.
Right now, it is a sweet time to come in. When we came in, it wasn't sweet. But for you now, you have easy access. It's like, it's very decentralized. You know, some of us have, like, we're already choked up with work. So there's work for everybody now. It's just that is the survival of the fittest, is the smartest in the room that gets the job.
You look like a workaholic. I hope you have time to do some things as a
young
girl.
We try.
To out some engines as a young girl.
We try.
She's saying, no, should we matchmake you? Maybe we'll find somebody for you.
We'll find somebody to give you.
Our mom is watching. Please, ma, we're sorry. We're well-behaved women. She's a hard
No, I love it. But it's just I don't think I'm in the headspace yet.
Yeah, you need to settle.
Yeah, I don't think I'm
in the time is going. Go on, do it now. This is the time for you to do it. I'm just messing with you.
It's so lovely.
Thank you so much.
I actually, before they come for me on social media, I actually believe every woman's time is when you choose.
Yeah, when
it's not about what's
it's not about marriage. Everything's not about marriage.
You see that talk you talk. The reality of it is far. Just choose.
That's all we can take on the Have a fabulous weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bye.